Since you appear to know so much, Lord Merridew, sir, said the inspector humbly, I wonder if you could explain just how the murderer managed to leave the body of his victim in the middle of the tennis court and effect his escape without leaving any tracks behind him in the red dust. Frankly, sir, we in the police are just plain baffled. There seems no way he could have done it, short of black magic. Since John Lord Merridew, the great detective, rose majestically, his huge Father Christmas face glowing with mischievous delight. Slowly he brushed the crumbs of seedy cake from the folds of his pendulous waistcoat. The police may be baffled, Inspector, he boomed, but Merridew is not. It's all a question of a little research and a little ratiocination. 30 years ago, the murderer, Dr. Grayson, was a distinguished member of the Ballet Russe, dancing under the name of Oleg Graysinski. The years may have altered his appearance, but his old skill had not deserted him. He carried the body out to the center of the tennis court, walked on his points along the white tape which divides the service boxes. From there, he threw it 5 feet into the court, toward the baseline, where it was found, and then, with a neatly executed fouette, faced about and returned the way he had come, thus leaving no traces. There, Inspector, that is Merridew's solution. Oh, splendid! Absolutely splendid. Merridew loses none of his cunning, I'm glad to say, and he's as neat and as gaudy as he ever was. Ah. Oh, hello. Good evening. Milo Tindle, isn't it?
Yes. Mr. Wyke?
The very same. Do come in, won't you?
Thank you.
Did you find the entrance to the lane all right?
Yes, thanks.
Well done. Most people go straight past it. It's very nice of you to come.
Not at all. I read your note as soon as I got home.
Oh, good. I popped it in around midday.
Indeed. What's this? A life-size sailor?
Oh, that's Jolly Jack Tar, the jovial sailor. He and I have a very good relationship. I make the jokes, and he laughs at them. You see? Now let me get you a drink. What will you have? Scotch, gin, vodka?
Scotch, please.
Right you are. And how'd you like it? Soda, water, ice?
Just ice. And what's this?
Would you mind putting that back down when you found it? It's taken me a long time to get it there.
Looks like a child's game.
It's anything but childish, I can assure you. I've been studying it for months, and I'm still only a novice. It's called CNAT, played by the ancient Egyptians. It's an early blocking game, not unlike our own Nine Men Morris.
Nine Men Morris?
Never mind. How are you settling in at the laundry cottage?
Very well.
Using it for weekends, that sort of thing?
Yes, that's the sort of thing.
It's a charming little place. Well, cheers.
Cheers.
Now do come and sit down. Forgive me if I just tidy up a bit. I've just reached the denouement of my new book, The Body on the Tennis Court. Tell me, would you agree that a detective story is the normal recreation of noble minds?
Who said that?
Oh, I'm quoting Philip Cordella, a biographer of the 30s. The golden age where every cabinet minister had a thriller by his bedside and all the detectives were titled. Before your time, I'm sure.
Perhaps it would have been truer to say that noble minds were the normal recreation of detective story writers.
Yes, good point. You know, even in these days, I still set my own work among the gentry. And a great number of people enjoy it.
I'm surprised I've not seen any adapted for television or film.
Oh, God forbid.
Well, they're always doing crime stories.
What? You mean those ghastly things set in the north of England? Seaside murder dragged out for weeks, corrupt lead officer breaks the law to catch the criminal.
Yes, that's the kind of thing.
Oh, no, that's not my line of work at all. That is detective fact, not detective fiction, as I much prefer.
And of course, as such, is of much less interest to noble minds.
Yes, you've put it in a nutshell, my dear Milo. I may call you Milo.
Of course.
Thank you. We need to be friendly. Let me get you another drink. I'm one up on you already. I understand you want to marry my wife. You'll forgive me raising the matter, but as Marguerite is away for a few days, she's up in the north, you know, visiting some relatives.
Is she?
Yes, so I thought it an appropriate time for a little chat.
Yes.
Well, is it true?
Well, yes. With your permission, of course.
Yes, I'm glad to see you're not like so many men these days. They seem to think they can do anything they like without asking anyone's permission.
Certainly not, Mr. Wyke.
Andrew, please. Are we not equals here?
Thank you, Andrew.
So tell me, Milo, what is it that you do?
I'm in the travel business. I have my own agency in Dulwich.
Tindle's Travels, eh? I see. And where do you live?
I live above the office.
In Dulwich?
Yes, I rent the whole house. It's really most convenient and it's most attractive too. It's Georgian.
I'm sure it's perfectly delightful, but I doubt whether an 18th century architectural gem in Dulwich whispers quite the same magic to Marguerite as it does to you.
She adores old houses, actually. She can't wait to live there.
I understood she was already living there, at least for a couple of nights a week. I'm not mistaken, am I? And surely your motive in renting the cottage down here was to increase the incidence of this hebdomadal coupling.
I came to be near the woman I love. It's a great pain for us to be apart. You wouldn't understand.
Possibly. But I understand Marguerite well enough to know that she does not adore old houses. She's lived here quite a time, and between the rising damp and the Death Watch beetle have put a dent into her good and proper. She's only got to see a mullioned window, and it brings her out in lumps.
Perhaps it wasn't the house so much as the person she had to share it with.
Now. Surely you know it's very rude to make personal remarks to a hospitable host.
I'm sorry. You were disparaging my lover.
On the contrary, I was merely reminiscing about my wife.
It comes to the same thing.
Things mostly do, you know. I'll wager that within a year, it'll be you doing the disparaging, and I who will be doing the rhapsodizing, having quite forgotten how intolerably tiresome, vain, spendthrift, self-indulgent, and generally bloody crafty she is.
If you don't love Marguerite, you don't have to abuse her.
Never speak ill of the deadly, eh?
Now look here!
If I choose to say that my wife converses like a child of 6, cooks like a Brightlingsea landlady, and makes love like a fish, I shall.
That's just about enough.
But I certainly don't need her lover's permission to do so either. In fact, the only thing I need to know from you is, can you afford to take her off my hands?
Afford to?
Afford to support her in the style to which she wasn't accustomed before she met me, but now is.
She won't need all this when we're married. It'll be a different life. A life of love and simplicity. Now go ahead. Sneer at that. It's almost a natural sport for people like you. Sneering at love.
I don't have to sneer at it. I simply don't believe you. For Marguerite, love is the fawning of a willing lapdog, and simplicity a square-cut 10-carat diamond.
I don't know what I'm doing here. With a little effort, I'm sure you could find a much more appreciative audience.
Oh, now, Milo, you disappoint me. Rising to your feet like that and bridling.
I was protesting.
Well, it looked like a good old-fashioned Hedy Lamarr bridal to me.
Who?
Oh, very good, very good. Now, why don't you just sit down and we'll talk about something that matters desperately to both of us.
Marguerite?
Money. Have you got any?
I'm not quite singing with fortune yet. But in a year, I'll be...
This year, next year, sometime, never. What you're saying, in fact, is that at present, you're skint.
I'll survive.
I'm sure you will, but survival is not the point. Presumably, when you're married to Marguerite, you'll want a fast car, a little place in the sun, and a couple of mistresses.
Why presumably? Just because you need those things?
Certainly I do. And so does every right-thinking, insecure, deceitful man. The point is how to get them.
I'm sure you'll do all right.
Me? Oh, no. Just this faded mansion, the slowest Lagonda in Wiltshire, and only one mistress, I'm afraid.
Taya? The Finnish lady who runs the sauna bath at Swindon?
Oh, so you know about her, do you?
Marguerite and I have no secrets from each other.
Not even mine, it seems. Taya is a Karelian goddess. Her golden hair smells of pine, and her cobalt eyes are the secret forest paws of Finlandia.
I hear she's a scrubbed blonde with all the sex appeal of chilled Dettol.
There are those who believe that cleanliness is next to sexiness. And if I were you, I wouldn't pay much attention to what Marguerite says. You can take it from me that Taya's an engaging little trollop, and she suits me mightily. Mind you, she takes a bit of keeping up with. It's a good thing I'm pretty much an Olympic sexual athlete.
I suppose these days you're concentrating on the sprints rather than the long-distance stuff.
Not so, dear boy. I'm in the pink of condition. I could copulate for England at any distance.
Well, they do say in Olympic circles that the point is to take part rather than to win. So I suppose there's hope for us all. You going to marry her?
Marry a goddess? I wouldn't presume. I might get turned into a birch tree for my audacity. Oh no, I simply want to live with her.
So what's stopping you?
Basically, the firm of Prurient and Pry Limited, whom you and Marguerite have seen fit to employ. Don't look so innocent. Those Woodbine-stained private detectives who have been camping outside Taya's flat for the last week.
So, you've spotted them.
A Bantu with glaucoma couldn't have missed them. No one can read the evening news for 4 hours in a Messerschmitt bubble car and expect to remain unnoticed.
Sorry about that. It was Marguerite's idea.
Who else's? Who paid?
I did.
I wonder if you could afford it.
It was an insurance policy against you changing your mind about divorcing Marguerite.
My dear boy, let's have no misunderstanding. I've nothing against you marrying Marguerite. There's nothing I want more than to see you two tucked up together. But it's got to be a fixture. I want to be rid of her for life, not just a 2-week Tindle tour economy class. No, you listen to me. You don't know her like I do. You think you do, but you don't. The real truth of the matter is that if you fail her, by which I mean cancelling the account at Harrods or shortchanging her on winter in Jamaica, she'll be back to me in a jiffy mewing for support. And guilty wife or not, she may be entitled to get it.
Don't be so bloody pathetic. Winter in Jamaica? I'm not going to take her for winter in Jamaica. You're worrying unnecessarily. Once Marguerite is married to me, she'll never think of returning to you. Never. And don't worry about my being able to look after either.
I see. You mean as soon as you and she are married, Marguerite will joyously exchange Waitrose for the Audi?
So she's used to luxury. Whose fault is that?
It's not a fault if you can afford it. But can you? Knowing you to be hard up, has she shown any sign of mending her ways in these last idyllic 3 months? When did she last turn down Bollinger for the blandishments of Lambrini? Or reject Belgian chocolate in favour of Nestle? No, I'm not joking. How much has this brief liaison cost you so far? 500? 1,000? 2,000 pounds? You see why I'm concerned. I tell you, she'll ruin you. To coin a phrase, in 2 years you'll be a used gourd. And what's more, a used gourd with a sizable overdraft.
We've often talked about money. I've told her we spend too much.
And she takes no notice.
None.
A silver laugh, a coquettish turn of the head.
Something like that.
Exactly. Well, it's to solve this little problem that I have invited you here tonight. This, as they say, is where the plot thickens. I'll get you another drink. Are you sitting comfortably? Then I'll begin. Once upon a time, there was an Englishman called Andrew Wyke, who, in common with most of his countrymen, was virtually castrated by taxation. To avoid total emasculation, his accountants advised him, just before the last devaluation, to put a considerable part of his money, some £335,000, into jewellery. His wife, of course, was delighted.
You made her a present of it?
Absolutely not. It's still mine, as well as she knows. But we felt she might as well wear it as bank it. After all, it's fully insured.
I see what you mean by the plot thickening. It usually does when insurance is mentioned.
I'm glad you follow me so readily. I want you to steal that jewellery.
What?
Tonight, for choice. Marguerite is out of the house. It's an admirable opportunity.
You must be joking.
You would know if I were.
But what about the servants?
Gone. I've sent Mr. and Mrs. Hawkins to Weston-super-Mare for a 48-hour retreat. They won't be back until Sunday night. So, ipso facto, the house is empty. So, what do you say?
What you're asking me to do is illegal.
Of course it's illegal. All good money-making schemes in England has to be these days. Now listen. The jewellery, when it's not in the bank, lives in the safe under the stairs. It's there now. All you have to do is steal them and sell them abroad and live happily ever after with Marguerite. All I have to do is claim the insurance money and live happily ever after with Thea. Well, in my case, perhaps not ever after, but at least until I get fed up.
Is this really what you've asked me over for? For an insurance scam?
Come now, Milo, it's nicely clear and simple.
Nicely obvious and clearly ridiculous. Supposing I do as you say and take the jewels. If I sell them to a fence, if I manage to find one, I'd get a fraction of their value.
Not with the fences I know, dear boy.
What fences would you know?
I know some of the finest fences in Europe. I met them some years ago while researching the deadly affair of the Druce diamond.
Never read it.
You've never read it? I suppose you're going to tell me you've not read Diet of Worms or The Mystery of the Plantagenet Parakeet.
Sorry.
Have you read any of my books?
Not my sort of thing. Now, back to these fences.
Yes, so I know a fair few of them. In fact, on your behalf, I have already contacted a certain gentleman in Amsterdam. He will treat you very well. You won't get full value of jewels, but you will get 2/3, say £220,000. And the best thing is, you will get it in cash.
What makes this fence so generous?
Because he will have what fences never have. Title to the jewels. I will see to it that in addition to the jewels, you also steal the receipts I got for them. All you have to do is hand them over together. Now, what does my insurance company discover when it swings into action, antennae pulsing with suspicion? It discovers that someone impersonating Andrew Wyke sold the jewels for £220,000 cash. And they've still got to pay me. Hard cheese. So think it over. Take your time. There's no hurry.
Look, I know this sounds stupid, but, well, have you had any experience? I mean, have you ever actually committed a crime before?
Only in the mind's eye, so to speak. For the purpose of my books. St. John Lord Merridew would have a pretty lean time of it if I didn't give him any crime to solve.
Who?
My detective, St. John Lord Merridew. Good heavens, Milo! He's known to millions all over the civilized world. An ambulatory ton of port with the face of Father Christmas. That's how I describe him. A classical scholar with a taste for good pipes and bad puns, but with a nose for spelling out evil, superior to anything in the police.
Oh, yes, the police are always stupid in your kind of story, aren't they? They never solve anything. Only an amateur sleuth ever knows what's happening. But that is detective fiction. This is fact.
I'm quite aware of the difference, Milo. I also know that the insurance investigators are sharp as razors, and that's why, as they say in the Athenaeum, everything's got to be done kosher and according to Cocker.
I'm just saying there's a difference between writing and real life, that's all. And there's another thing. How do I know this thing isn't one big frame-up?
Frame-up?
Oh, yes. It's quite clear you really hate my association with your wife, and we give 5 years of Olympian sexual athleticism to see me in jail. Once I'm clear of the house, an anonymous phone call to the police.
I'd be stuck with Marguerite for another bickering eternity. Body stockings on the breakfast tray, false eyelashes in the wash basin, the bottles, the lotions, the oils, the darn music player, and that ceaseless, vapid yak. Oh, yes, I could shop you to the police. Nothing easier. But whatever for? Still, it's for you to evaluate, old boy.
Well,
If you don't trust me...
Oh, I trust you, but...
It's a very simple proposition. You have an expensive woman and no money. It seems to me that if you want to keep Marguerite, there is only one thing you can do. You must steal those jewels.
Why don't you steal them and simply hand them over to me?
I should have thought that was obvious. The burglary has to look real. The house has actually got to be broken into.
Well, why don't you break into it?
Hey, Milo, baby, will you do me a favor? Leave it to me, huh? You know what I mean? Crime is my specialty. I've got such a great plan, and I've got it all worked out to the last detail. You're the star. I'm just the producer.
£220,000.
£220,000 tax-free in cash. It would take a lot of Tindle tours to make that kind of money.
All right, I'll do it. Where shall I break in?
Hold your horses. Now, the first thing you've got to do is disguise yourself.
What on earth for?
Well, supposing someone saw you climbing in.
Who? You're not overlooked.
Who knows? A dallying couple? A passing sheep rustler? And dear boy, remember the clues we're to leave for the police and the insurance company. We don't want your footprints in the flower beds or your coat button snagged on a windowsill. Oh, no. You must be disguised.
All right, what do you suggest?
As Marguerite has assuredly told you, in younger days we were always dressing up in this house. What with amateur dramatics and masquerades and costume balls, there was virtually no end to the concealment of identity.
She's never mentioned it.
Well, it was all some years ago. Anyway, let's see what we've got. A face mask, a flat cap, a striped jersey, and a bag marked swag.
I thought the idea was that I was not to be taken as a burglar.
Fashions have changed, you know.
Not quickly enough. It's asking for trouble.
Well, how about an SS uniform?
A bit anti-Semitic, don't you think?
Well, what about old Friar Tuck?
Oh, for God's sake.
Oh, come on, let's make this a Gothic folly. Perhaps we shall never know the identity of the cowed figure seen haunting the grounds of the manor house on the night of the terrible murder. Even today, some locals claim to hear the agonized screams of the victims echoing around the chimney pots.
Whoa, murder? Anguished screams? What are you talking about? It's a simple robbery we're staging here, that's all.
Quite right, Milo. I was getting carried away for a moment.
Look here, Andrew, you probably think this is one huge joke, but it's my freedom you're playing with.
I was merely trying to bring a little romance to the modern crime, and incidentally, into your life.
Marguerite will bring all the romance into my life I need. Thank you all the same.
Marguerite romantic? Marguerite couldn't have got Johann Strauss to waltz.
I don't know who that is. Look, Andrew, these are great costumes, but haven't you just got an old pair of wellies, a raincoat and a sock that I can put over my head?
Old pair of wellies and a sock? How dreary. That's the whole trouble with crime today. No imagination. I mean, you tell me, does your heart beat any faster when you hear that lorry of cigarettes has been knocked off in the Walworth Road?
Not particularly.
Well, of course not. Or that a 93-year-old night watchman has had his silly, interfering old skull split open with a lead pipe.
Of course not.
Well, then what's the matter with you? Where's your spunk? Let's give our crime the true sparkle of the 30s, a little amateur, aristocratic quirkiness. Think of all that wonderful material. There's the ice dagger, the position that leaves no trace, the cigarette stubbed in the ashtray, charged violet notepaper in the grate, tire marks in the driveway, the gramophone record simulating conversation, the clutching hand from behind the arras. Hi there, copper! Hi there, Blue! Where were you on the night of the 13th? I swear I didn't do it, Inspector. I'm innocent, I tell you. Innocent!
You're getting carried away.
And why not? We're on the brink of a great crime. Don't you feel the need to give your old arch-enemy, Inspector Plodder of the Yard, a run for his money? And you're the star. You're the who, what done it.
Anyway... Well, what about this outfit?
Ah, Monsieur Beaucaire. He's very good. Lots of beauty spots and wig powder to let fall over the place. Oh, what about this? Little Bo Peep.
No.
Why not?
I haven't got the figure for it.
An indifferent figure shouldn't materially affect the execution of this crime.
Quite sure.
Well, you are choosy, aren't you? There isn't a great deal left. We'll have to settle for Joey.
A clown outfit? Perhaps your love life was a bit of a joke after all.
Can't you see it all? The tinsel, the glitter, the lights, the Liberty horses, the roar of the crowd, and Milo! All the kiddies love you.
Until he starts burgling houses. All right, it'll do.
Well, give me your coat, dear boy. I'll hang it up. We don't want the police to find any fibers of this beautiful suit. Oh, and the shirt and trousers, too.
What?
Oh, yes, you know how clever those forensic examiners are. That's it. Don't be shy. Into your smalls. Oh, I know a well-brought-up boy when I see one. Folds his pants at night.
Yeah, all right. Shirt and shoes.
Very good, sir. The quick, clean valet service always at your disposal, sir. Give the clown your finger and he'll take your hand.
What was that?
Just an old English proverb I was thinking of.
There you are. I look ridiculous.
Come on, do us a trick.
What sort of trick?
Oh, I don't know. Trip up, fall on your ass.
I'm good, thanks.
Well, what about a bit of juggling then? Catch!
Christ!
Sorry, dear boy, but you know the rule of the circus. If at first you don't succeed...
Give up. Can we get on with the charade, please?
Of course, yours to command. Here are the tools of your trade. One glass cutter to break in with, a piece of putty for holding onto the cut piece of glass so it doesn't clatter onto the floor and wake the ravenous doper pincher you suspect lurks inside, and a stethoscope.
A stethoscope?
Safe breakers for the use of. The theory is that you tried to pick the lock by listening to the tumblers, failed, and then employed gelignite.
Gelignite? I don't know anything about gelignite.
It's just as well that I do, so leave that to me. Now what we want is some supreme bizarre touch to crown the whole edifice. Say a signed photo of Ronald McDonald.
A signed photo of... Why didn't you just share it on Facebook and tell everyone what we're doing?
Facebook? Never used it. Can't see the point of it. That was all Marguerite's obsession. Besides, I was only trying to lighten Inspector Plodder's day for him. If you don't like the idea.
There's no such animal as Inspector Plodder outside of books. It'll be Inspector Earlybird or Superintendent No Stone Unturned. You can bet your jewels on that. I can't walk in this costume. These boots are ridiculous.
Keep them on. Can't you see it all? Wiltshire paralyzed. The West Country in a ferment. Where will Big Boot strike next? All these boots will tell the police that a true professional realized the flower beds would carry footprints and decided to disguise his own, perhaps a trifle eccentrically. Now, are you ready? Have you got everything? Glass cutter, putty...
The mask!
Good. Now go through that door, round the house, and across the lawn. To your right, you will discover a shed. In it is a ladder. Bring the ladder back, stand it against the house so you break in at the gallery.
Will you come out and hold it steady?
Certainly not. I don't want my footprints in the flower beds.
Not very good at heights.
Don't you organize flights? Well, improvise, ducky. Place one foot above the other. It's called climbing.
Okay.
Good luck. Right, now where is that gelignite? Ah, yes. Just need some black tape and... Yes, a detonator. For Christ's sake, can you keep those bloody boots off my busy Lizzies? Dear, dear. Puss, puss, puss. Do you hear a noise, Puss? Was that a step on the stairs? No, it was just the wind. You know, Puss, I sometimes think there's a curse on this house. But you shouldn't pay any attention to me. I'm just a silly old woman who is afraid of her own shadow. What was that, Puss? Someone's prowling in our grounds. We're all going to be murdered in our beds. No, the front door is locked. And the window's too high, so no one can get into our snug little home. What are you doing now?
I dropped the glass. Right. All right, I'm coming in. Oh, whew. Right. Sorry about that.
My dear boy, you're robbing me. Why would you be sorry?
I can lose this at any rate. Now for the safe.
No, not straight away. You're not meant to know where they are. Search around. Go into the bedroom, disturb a few things. Throw some clothes on the floor. Marguerite's for choice. That's it. Don't pack them, ravage them. Don't you know how to burgle a place? Now try the wardrobe. Okay, that's enough. I said enough. Those shirts were made for me by tailors to monarchs.
Just being thorough. It would be suspicious if the burglar played favourites.
Will you stop that, Milo? Rifle through the bureau immediately.
It's locked.
Of course it's bloody locked. Use a knife on it.
You didn't give me a knife.
Well, we had better go and find one, hadn't we? Honestly, Milo, you are the soppiest night interloper I've ever met. I can't think what Marguerite sees in you. Check the kitchen drawers.
The sympathy and kindness of a kindred spirit, actually.
It's like a Bengal tiger lying down with a bush baby.
I know we're a damn sight happier than you are with your ice maiden.
You probably take it more seriously, that's all.
You have to be serious if you want to be in love.
And you have to be serious about crime if you want to afford to be in love. Now get cracking on the bureau.
There's a set of false teeth here. They look like a man's.
Put them back at once.
Sorry. Your spares?
Just finish and get back down here. Right, are you ready? I've got the gelatine set on the safe, if you would do the honors.
I've never blown something up.
Well, here's your chance to relish that roll. Right, now do it on 5, 4, 3... Ugh! Didn't you hear me count down?
Sorry, just want to get over and done with. Besides, this clown has to get out of here quick.
Well, go on then, empty it.
Oh, bloody hell, it's hot.
You've got gloves on, get in there, for goodness sake.
Got it. Dear God.
Ah, Moses looks upon the promised land.
They're very beautiful. Look at this. A ruby necklace.
We got that on our honeymoon.
It's fantastic.
Never really cared for it myself. I always thought it made Marguerite look like a blood sacrifice. Now put them in your pocket. I'll get you the receipts in a moment. Now, this is the fun bit. It's the moment when the householder, his attention attracted by the sound of the explosion, surprises his burglar. In the ensuing struggle, the house is sacked.
Why is it necessary for you to surprise me at all?
Because if I have seen you at close quarters, I can always describe you to the police wrongly.
Now look here.
Did you manage to get a good look at the intruder's face, sir? Yes, Inspector, I did. If you can imagine a kind of prognathic stoke, fringed about with lilac-coloured hair and seemingly covered in a sort of boot polish.
I understand. How much sacking do you want done?
A decent bit, I think. A few chairs on their backs, some china ornaments put to the sword. You know, convincing. Surely you don't call that convincing. Like this. Yes, that's it. Now the books. Yes, let the encyclopedias fly like autumn leaves. Let the contents of the drawers be scattered to the four winds. That's very good. Oh, it's coming along nicely, but it still doesn't look right. Come on, let's see what accident does to artifice.
Oh, Christ's sake, what are you doing? That bloody hurts.
I should hope so, you charlatan!
That's assault. Jesus.
You're robbing me. Now, come on, get back into the ring.
What, so you can beat me up some more? Dream on, old man.
Ah, don't despair, Milo. This fight is fixed. It's about now that I take a dive. This is where you lay me out cold.
What? For real?
Naturally. When the police come, I must be able to show them a real injury. I thought you'd like this bit.
Okay, what shall I use?
Not my opaline, if you don't mind.
How about this? The poker. The original blunt instruments.
Steady on, Milo. Don't get carried away.
Well, I'm doing my best.
We're not talking about a murder weapon. You want to render me unconscious.
Such as?
Well, I don't know exactly. Frankly, I'm rather off this blow business now that I've seen you in action. Perhaps we could think of a device that will raise a lump without actually cracking the cranium. Yes, that's it. What would those fathers of the scientific discovery story come up with?
Huh?
You know, perhaps there's a genius method in one of these remarkable publications.
Oh, I see. Well, I did see one about a bee sting projected into the scalp with a blowpipe on TV once.
Oh, Milo, that'd be brilliant if we had a sting, pipe, or even a bee. No, but still 7 out of 10 for trying. I know. You could tie me up and gag me, leaving me to be found by the cleaning woman. Lorks, Mr. Wyke, what are you doing all trussed up like a turkey cock? Trying out something for one of those creepy books of yours, are you, sir? Well, don't mind me. I won't disturb you. I'll just get on with my dusting.
If I don't knock you out, how do I manage to tie you up?
That is a very good question. I know. You could hold a gun on me.
We professional burglars don't like guns much.
But you're a rank amateur. You don't know what to expect. Here, how about this? It's an old service revolver.
Is it loaded?
Well, naturally. What use would it be otherwise? And I think it should go off a couple of times in the struggle.
Why?
Well, it would add credence to my story of your holding a gun on me. Hearing a noise and fearing burglars, I took my revolver and went to investigate. You attacked me. In the struggle, it went off. Being an old fraidy cat householder, I allowed brutish you to take possession of it. You then held it on me while you tied me up. It's uninventive, I know, but believable. Now then, if you gripped me here, the gun would be knocked to face here. I tried to gain control, but you've knocked it facing over there. That'll do it.
Oh, so loud. You could have warned me.
Warned you? Oh, yes, imagine that in a struggle. Do mind me, sir. I'm going to fire the gun if you don't mind covering your ear.
Fair enough. So what now?
Well, that would depend entirely on you.
What are you doing?
Pointing the gun at you, obviously.
Why?
Because I'm going to kill you, Milo.
You're going to... oh, Jesus. Is this one of your games?
Yes, we've been playing it all evening. It's called You're Going to Die, and no one will suspect murder.
You mean all we've done? Me stealing your wife's jewels was just...
I invited you here to set up the circumstances of your own death. The break-in, the disguise, the jewels in your pocket, the householder aroused, the gun going off in the struggle, and then the final fatal shot.
For God's sake, Andrew, this isn't funny.
It's not meant to be. Can you find a flaw in this?
Marguerite! They'll trace the connection between us. They'll know that's why you did it.
I am quite entitled to tackle the man wearing a mask plundering into my house in the middle of the night. How was I expected to know who you were? Oh no, the law will have every sympathy with me. Even Marguerite will assume you were just an adventurer who only loved her for her jewels, a petty, sneaky thief who found larceny less burdensome than marriage. You really are a dead duck, aren't you? not a moral or romantic attitude left.
You're serious, aren't you?
I'm not afraid of killing you, Milo, if that's what you mean. Listen, I'll give you a sporting chance. Why don't you run for it?
And give you the chance to shoot me down in cold blood?
In hot blood, you mean? I'm going to shoot you down in cold blood anyway.
Look, stop it. This is sick.
The only question to be decided is where the police shall find you. Sprawled over the desk like countless kernels and countless studies, or propped up in the log basket like a rag doll. Which do you think? Early Agatha Christie or middle Nicholas Blake?
For Christ's sakes, Andrew, this is not a detective story. This is real life. You're talking of doing a real murder, of killing a real man. Don't you understand?
Perhaps I shouldn't do it with a gun at all. Perhaps I should shove the ham knife into you and leave you face down in the middle of the room. Your blood staining the flagstones a deep carmine.
Oh, God.
No, I think the scene the police should find you is simply this. After the fight, you flee up the stairs to regain your ladder. I catch you on the landing, and in the renewed struggle, I shoot you. Nothing succeeds simplicity, don't you agree, Milo? Now get moving.
Andrew, please, Andrew.
Oh, don't snivel. You can't think it'll gain you mercy.
I must know why. Jealousy?
Try hatred. Simply, I hate you, Milo. I hate your smarmy, good-looking face and your easy manner. I'll bet you're easy in a ski lodge, easy on a yacht on a beach. I'll bet you £1 to a penny that you wear a gold charm round your neck and your chest is hairy and in summer matted with sun oil. I hate you because you are a mock, humble, jeweled, shot, cuffling sponger. A world is my oysterer, a seducer of women and a king among marshmallow snakes. Come, little man. Did you really believe I would give up my wife and jewels to you? That I would make myself that ridiculous?
Why not? You're not in love with her.
She's mine, whether I love her or not. I found her. I've kept her. I am familiar with her. And once, she was in love with me.
And now she's in love with me.
And you are a young man dressed as a clown about to be murdered. Put the mask on, Milo.
No, please.
Put it on. Now! Excellent. Farewell, Punchinello.
Please.
Well, game and set, I believe.